Welcome to Marina's Yarnharbor, a podcast and Instagram account about knitting, yarn, and sometimes crochet. This is episode 3. Before we get too deeply into the episode, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to everyone who has subscribed and to everyone who's watched my videos. The views mean a lot, the subscriptions mean a lot. Only having 2 videos out and already having 39 subscribers is gigantic. I know YouTube and the internet would like me to think it's not, but to me, that's 39 whole people who have enjoyed my content and subscribed to watch more. So that really, really means a lot. And every time I get an alert that there's a new subscriber, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling, and I'm just excited to make more content and to share more of my little knitting world with all of you. So thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for the views. I really, really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get into what I'm wearing. This is the Winter Lights Shawl by Stephen West. This was the 2020 Hyber knit along pattern. I had never knitted anything from Stephen West before, but my friend Heather had, and she told me that I would probably enjoy it, and she was right. And so we decided to hop on it together, and so we did. I don't remember if the pattern was available ahead of time to see what colors you should pick. I know they had kits ready, but I wasn't sure how the colors were going to work out together. And so we kind of went into this blind, my cousin and I. I told her a color palette that I was thinking of. Obviously, we've got a really nice, like, purpley, maroony brick color, a nice green. I believe this color is mushroom, and then a cream. And she said the cream was really challenging for her to dye because you don't want to get too much color. Because you just want it to be a cream color, but you don't want it to be white. But I think she pulled it off really, really well. The construction is you start with a tab in the back, and then you work your way out. It has an I-cord edge, and then an I-cord bind off. And this was the first time I'd ever done an I-cord edge or an I-cord bind off. And I tell you what, they are both a little bit of a pain, but the end result is really just very nice, like a super nice finished project. So really nice construction. Had a lot of fun with slipping stitches. It was a really fun pattern to knit, and then it's also a very nice wear. It's very soft and drapey, and it's got some, I really do love the scalloped edge. It's got a lot of fun interest. So this is one of my favorite pieces that I've knit. Again, back to the colorways, though, I gave Astasia an idea of what I wanted, and she really made it come to life. This was the first time, though, that we'd ever done anything like this, where we kind of picked, you know, colors and stuff for a pattern like this. And so we've learned a lot since then, because this was kind of a shot in the dark. Like, I didn't know how everything was going to come together, and I kind of just knit it and hoped for the best. Like I said, we've learned a lot since then, looking at pictures and reference to come up with what we want to do. But it's a very, very nice knit. I highly recommend it, especially now that I know how this would play. I have some really like nice ideas for knitting another one, whether or not I will, because I tend not to repeat the knits that I make. I tend to move on to the next thing. We'll just have to see, I suppose. So that is my object that I'm wearing today. All right, so finished objects. Oh, y'all, please don't be mad. I finished them and I mailed them. I have 2. The first one is the Sunset Highway sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I had to mail it fast, guys. I'm so sorry. So I don't have it. It's already in possession of my cousin. I got that one finished up fairly quickly, I think. I know I started it at the beginning of the beginning of September, but I had another sweater I squished in the middle between there. And I do believe I got it in the mail before November 4th, I think. So beginning of November, I got it out in the mail to her. So I will put pictures up her wearing it and some of the, because I don't think I took any pictures of it finished. I should have, but I didn't. It was a really fun knit. I actually don't think I'd done, had I done? I don't know. I don't think I had done a color work yoke with as much detail. Like I had started one once for myself in the rattlesnake tee and realized I didn't have enough contrast. So this one was really, we had, again, this time we had hand picked the colors really carefully. And I was really nervous. We picked a size 3 to accommodate for bust size, but her shoulders are smaller. And so I was concerned that it would be too big. And unfortunately, I think my concerns were right. In part because I knitted very loosely. I was really concerned, like really, really, really concerned that I would knit too tightly and then nothing would lay right and it'd be bunchy. Instead, I went the other way and it was really too loose. But I suppose that's up for debate because on her, it looks really good, even though it's oversized. It sits nicely. You can really see the yoke really well. The really pretty like teardrop patterns and swoops. The sleeves turned out really fun. The only thing that I was a little surprised by was how much it grew when I blocked it. When I was knitting it, it wasn't so bad, but then I blocked it and it it grew 3 sizes. As a result, it looks like a sweater dress. But that's not a bad thing. It means that she can wear it with leggings and she's really, really happy with it. So I'm happy with it. The second finished object that I don't have here to show you, I'll put up a picture again, is the Lightwood Cowl by Jennifer Steingass. That one knit up so quickly. You guys saw it before. It was knitting in the round and I had a main color that we went with white and then a contrasting color that my cousin had dyed up, especially because I asked her to, and it was just a riot of color. The end result is so pretty and so squishy and so soft and just really nice and warm. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I was a little concerned about blocking it because I don't know, I got nervous and because of how thick it was, I was really concerned that it would take a long time to dry. And even in the pattern, it recommends getting a fan on it just because you've got the way, because it's knitted around and then you block it flat. So you've got several, layers of yarn, especially because you have color work to go through. So when I steamed that, I steam blocked it instead of full on wet blocking it. And actually that worked really well, but I did have to like stretch it at the top and like clip it with one of those, hangers for like pants and skirts. And then I steamed it in the bathroom. And I think it worked out right, but it kind of stretched each edge. And so when I Kitchener stitched it together, it's like, ooh, you're a nice tube. And then you've got a little bit of a wobble where it connects. And then, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I think that if you did a solid blocking with wet blocking it, then you could get everything the same distance. But if you have it on, you're not going to really be able to tell. And it looks really, really nice on. I variegated a little bit from the pattern on that one. It calls for, I think, like 7 repeats of the tree or leaf motif. And then it asks for a half motif. You would have ended up with 2 trees or leaf patterns, one right after the other versus off to the side, offset. So I just did, instead of doing 7.5, I just did 8 pattern repeats and sewed them together. And it looked good. I'm really happy with it. The Kitchener stitch was a little fussy, only because you were managing 2 sets of cable needles, trying to keep the 2 ends together in Kitchener. And it was a little bit difficult not to pull the Kitchener stitch too tightly, especially because I needed the white yarn for something else, and so I cut the tail, and I wasn't sure if I cut the tail long enough for a Kitchener, and I did. It was fine. But some of my trials on that one, in the end, it's gorgeous, and I'm really, really happy that we made it. She told me that it's really cozy, and so mission accomplished. Let's see here. Works in progress. Y'all, I'm not from the South, but I say y'all, I apologize. this shawl has been handing me my behind. I have tried, I'm going to show you where I'm at, and you're going to be like, well, you didn't get very far, did you? And I'll be like, no, I didn't. I mean, I did, but I didn't. So, here's where we're at. If I can get it untangled. Come on. Here is where we're at. Pretty much where I left off. It's still really pretty, and yeah. So, here's what happened. I was knitting along, trying to figure out how to blend this thing, because my friend really would like it to be ombre, and I am all for that. That's great. The problem is that it's not a perfect ombre. It's the kind of ombre where you will probably, that's not even the right one. Let's see here. Here we are. Where as you transition from one color to the next, there is just enough of a difference that you'll end up with a stripe. And I'm going to put a picture up right here that shows what I've done to try and kind of negate that. I was hoping that I could just do a row of every other color and it would be blendy enough, but it's very clearly not. So the end result was, I was like, okay, I got to figure out something here to make it work. And so I fussed and I fiddled, and my end solution, if I can get out the ones I used, is going to be like this. So I had initially tried to do every other row, like alternating colors, or every row alternating a color. The problem is because it's got lace and yarn overs, you really can't have two strands of yarn going at the same time, or else it just looks chunky and it looks bad, just straight up not good. So the even rows, the backside rows, are all purl straight across. So that's not so bad. It's slow, but you can purl a color every other color, and then on the knit row or the front row, do what you need to do with just one strand of yarn. And so I found a solution. It's not very elegant. It's kind of fussy and messy, and it requires me cutting a lot of yarn. But my solution, if you can see, because I tested, I really, guys, I really should have tested it a lot more before I hopped in on this one. My solution is to start with one color and knit through, and then hit a point where on the purl rows I go every other, and then I also alternate. So the first purl row would be color A, color B, color A, color B. The next purl row would be color B, color A, so that you have a stagger. And the knit row being the first color that you're using. And then eventually about halfway through, keeping those every others on the front facing rows, switching over to the darker or the next color that you're moving into. So I hope that you can see, without things being too distracting, exactly what I'm talking about, because I had done that with the actual knit, and I had gotten almost to the point of moving into just the second color, when I realized somewhere along the line I had lost count and gotten off. So this center section is not just a nice straight line of either yarn overs or yarn over on either side of a spine. This is a broken spine, and it's beautiful, but it's also like, if you aren't paying attention to what you're doing, you are gonna mess it up. And that is what happened to me. So I had gotten really far. I had cut a bunch of yarn. I'd finally gotten it down. I was like, oh, we're making so much progress. And then I held it up and I did a count, and I had fewer stitches on this side than I did on that side. I had like 90 some over here and like 80 something over here, which meant that if I had taken this off the needles and laid it flat, instead of having a nice straight spine, it was going, I think, this way, like wing. So, oh guys, I put it away for a little while. I said, into the naughty corner you go, because my poor brain just can't handle this right now. And so I put it away. But I am ready to get back to it. I've gotten to a point where I know that my stitch counts are on. I know where I'm at in the pattern, and I know how to do the blending now, so that it ends up being a really, like, I think it's going to be such a pretty shawl when I finally get it done. But man, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about beaded projects, but that's what this is. This is a beaded project. And the last one I did too also decided to hand me my behind. So, you know, at least I know what's a challenge. And so if I ever want things that are more challenging, I can just go for it. Or in this case, put it away and not think about it for a while. Although I'm going to get back to it. So I'm really excited though. I talk a lot of garbage about it, but I am really excited for how it's going to look when it's done. It's just the process being a little bit fiddly. And truth be told, if I had done more testing before I hopped right into knitting it up, this wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been just fine. But that's what happens when you get excited and get cast-on-itis and you just do it. So, another project that I've been working on that's been really, really interesting. This one I hadn't started yet. This one came up. We'd been in talks, a friend of mine and I. He has a nature channel. I don't know if a nature channel. I'll link it below. He talks about foraging and fishing, and he lives in California. He's a friend of mine and my husband's. His name is Shawn. He wanted a hat band. He's got some specific colors. So he bought the yarn. It's cotton. They're really pretty. And I was trying to go with a motif that he has on a couple other things, like his paddle. And I don't know if it's on his canoe, but you know, branding for him. I attempted, it's so bad, guys. It's so bad. I attempted my first hat band, which really shouldn't be so bad. But the problem is that there's a lot of color work. And by a lot of color work, I mean just a lot of colors. And I just did it really. And in theory, it should have been fine. But because I held so many colors together through the green, like you can see them and it's bad. So this is attempt number 1. This is also my first steeked item because I was like, well, if I cut through this and it's not great, I have a second chance and it's not like I cut through a sweater. So steeking is interesting. It definitely made the whole knitting process a lot easier for knitting in the round to get. I mean, this part doesn't look half bad. This part looks okay. But yeah, no, that's all I have to say on that one. It's not, I need to try again. So that's the plan. The plan is that I am going to leave this one as is. I have enough yarn. I think what I'm going to do is just knit the green, and then when I get to the color work, I'm just going to have a lot of ends to tie in. That's not a very, what's the word I want to put? It's not a very elegant solution, but it's a better solution than this. So that's what I'm gonna do. And that is my hat band. Let's see here. Oh, I am still working on the sweater for my husband, but I'm not going to share anything there because I haven't made a ton of progress on that yet. That is definitely just a slow knit. The cabling, I really can't cable for too long without it being problematic. So instead, because I had failed so horribly at the color work, and because I was getting my behind handed to me by that beaded shawl, I said, "Hi, Cafe Shawl. It's been a while. I should work on you." So I did. I'm really, really close to being done. I've got about 7 more rows, and then I can bind off, and then I'm on to the sleeves. So when this one finally gets done, I will attempt, I believe, to wear it for an episode. It depends on how cold it is, because this is really warm. It looks really nice on. I'm very happy with it so far. It's definitely cozy. Still a little itchy around the throat, but not bad. We'll just have to see. This one was interesting because this is actually the first one I've been able to like really try on and fit to myself, because the other garments I've knit for myself have either been shawls again, more of an accessory, or it was pattern pieces, and so you couldn't really test it to see how it would fit. So it is what it is. I'm happy with it though. It's coming along good, and just not very exciting progress. Just like yay ribbing. Oh, I meant to do it and I forgot. I meant to grab my socks. I'm knitting up a pair of Waiting for Henry socks. They are turning out super cute. They live in my purse, and so I'm down here filming and I'm not going to go get them. I believe that's it for my works in progress. So then we are on to project planning. Guys, the Aurora cabin shawl. So here I was going, I'm fine that I didn't do the mystery knit along. I'm fine that I missed out on the MCal, and not really missed out. Like, I chose not to participate because mysteries scare me. They make me nervous when I don't know how the yarn's going to play together, or what the end project is going to look like, or if it's going to be something that I will want to wear, or that I will want to give to someone else to wear. So I held off. And I've seen some really pretty ones from the MCal, but I would need to really think ahead on how I would want to do that one myself. So when the Aurora cabin shawl came out, I lost my mind. It is gorgeous. I'm going to put another picture up. I love the warm one, the one that looks like a cabin. I mean, I know they're all cabin inspired, but the one that's got the orange and the yellow, I don't know. It's really, really pretty. And so I saw that, lost my mind, messaged my cousin and was like, we have to do this. This is the winter one. This is the next one that needs to go live in the yarn store for a little while. But I told her, I was like, pick colors that are complementary to you, because I got to keep this one and I want you to be able to have one too. So, she thought about it some more. We found some really nice inspiration pictures, and she now has come out with what I called the Sophisticated Chalet kit for the Stephen West Aurora cabin shawl. It's in the mail. I know it's in the mail, and it's supposed to be coming by like Friday. So that's probably what you'll see next when we hop back on here. I know the last time we talked, I was talking about some socks. I was talking about the Zosia wrap. That's still on my to-do list. And then the rattlesnake tee. But frankly, they're both getting bumped for the Aurora cabin shawl. The only other thing I've also added to my project planning is I'm going to say this wrong, so I apologize in advance. The Alasse Miriel hooded cowl by the Jane Victoria. I saw this a while ago, and I have a wool jacket. Well, not wool jacket, like a wool coat, a heavy winter wool coat that I wear, but it doesn't have a hood. And so when I saw this, I loved how romantic it looked, how soft and how feminine, and I just thought that it would be perfect with that black coat. So I'm going to be knitting that one up here pretty soon, I think. I think it'll depend on how I land with... I definitely want it so that I can still wear it through winter, but frankly, it's practically, like, it's the beginning of December now, and we don't have a lot of snow yet, so I don't know how desperately I need it until probably closer to, like, January, February. So, I mean, I should be knitting on it now, but I'm probably going to hold off until I get a couple other things finished. Man, if I could get through the Tanis shawl before hitting that would be fabulous. But I know me, and I'll probably cast on the hood before I get that done. So those are the projects that I'm planning on working on. Now on to the fun part for this video, I think. Even though, I don't know, maybe all of it's been fun. You let me know. Tell me in the comments, has it been fun? On to the acquisitions. So last time I kind of teased you a little bit with the Enola Holmes situation. We've opened them all. We have all 10 of the little Enola Holmes minis from the Enola Holmes box. So massive spoilers at this point if you haven't already seen it. The box is all sold out, which was fabulous. It was really a small, limited run because my cousin really didn't want to hop too deeply in. It was her first little like set of mini advent box type thing ever. So I'm super proud of her. I know it was a lot of work. I mean, minis are fun and they're small, but getting all the boxes together, getting everything organized. So well done, Astasia. So proud of you. They're all gorgeous. But we do have a top 5. So I did ask to see what people liked the most. So the very first one, oh no, have I like moved these all around? Now I can't remember what is what. All right. So in the 5th spot was Covenant Garden Market. That was number 5. The runner up to the, well, not the runner up. The next one after that one was Dash. The follow up to that one in spot number 3 was Eudora. And then in spot number 2 was Sherlock. And in case you didn't hear when we were opening these, this is one of my favorites. I think I'm going to try and convince Astasia to make me enough of these that I can knit the sheer V sweater in this with some really dark mohair. I think it would be so pretty. So the Sherlock was number 2. And then in first place was The Future Is Up to Us. So these were our top 5s for the Enola Holmes mystery mini advent thingy that we had right before the sequel, which the sequel was a lot of fun. I'm really glad they did a great job. So I think the plan, I need to double check this with her. I think the plan is to release this as a set, a mini set. But again, need to talk with her. Please, by all means, let her know over at on Instagram or Facebook, Beautiful Simplicity Fibre Company. She's also on Etsy, I think, as Simplicity by Astasia, but you can find her links down below. Let her know. Let her know which ones you would like to see maybe full skeins of, or if you want to have these as a mini set. Because that feedback would be super, super helpful, and then that would help her plan to figure out how to do these. So that was a really big event, and it was a lot of fun. And she did such a good job. So that was that. Let's see here. Next, I got to go on a trip with my husband down to Arkansas to visit some friends. My friend Heather, actually, who I worked on this with, and my friend Jennifer, who we stayed with her, and that was a lot of fun. But on the way down there, we stopped through Indianapolis, and we stopped at the Mass Ave Knit Shop, and there was a lot of yarn, and the ladies were a lot of fun. But I knew that going to visit Heather that we were going to be dyeing yarn, and so I didn't buy any yarn. But I did buy a very fancy pin for my bag. It was a lot of fun, and I don't know, I like it. I know the jingling might bother some people, but for me, it's fun. It's just a reminder, like, oh yeah, it's my knit bag. Then when we finally got down to Hot Springs, my friend Heather and I dyed up yarn in her kitchen. I felt so bad because by that point I had actually caught a cold, and so I was fighting it, and we thought maybe it was allergies because there was some pollen. Oh, I was just out of it. And so she kind of handled everything, which I really appreciated because I was in no state to really manage it. But we did 2 colors for me. One of them was DK weight, and we did 2 of these in this really light, again, creamy color. I think we used sand to get this one. Not actual sand, the color sand. And just really, 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 really lightly diluted. And so this is what I'm going to be using to knit up the cowl. Is really soft. And I think the DK, I think it was 100% superwash merino. About two something 2 something yards per skein, 100 grams. So soft. And then she was so generous because okay, before I show you the next yarn, I was going to make a Luna tee. I looked at it and I thought, I want to make this. And so what ended up happening was I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to do a light mauvey, dusty, pinky color in this shirt. So we plopped 5 skeins of fingering weight into the big old pot, and I didn't stir it thoroughly enough. So what ended up happening was, instead of soaking evenly and giving me a nice tonal, instead I have a pretty strongly variegated set of skeins. Some have some really, like, I was aiming more for this kind of like all over. So I've got strong variegation and then some interesting like pops. Like, how did that happen? I have no idea. But they're all just a little bit different. And so I've had to change gears. Again, she was really generous. She just gave me these to dye. And that's a lot of yarn. That's a sweater's quantity worth of yarn, Heather. Thank you. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But they're all just a little bit different. They all took it a little bit differently, which is so funny. But I think if I'd stirred it a little bit more, we wouldn't have had such saturation in pockets. It would have been a little bit more all the way around. Or if we'd gone in batches and done a couple at a time instead of dunking all 5 of them in there. So lesson learned. But that being said, it's still really, like, come on guys, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It turned out so nice. And so I have to find something that I want to do with it. I have some ideas, but I know it needs to be something where the yarn stands out instead of like the stitch definition. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really happy though. It was big. The last place we stopped afterward was the actual yarn store that's in Hot Springs, the Hot Springs Fibre Company. Ended up buying some accessories. Oh, I forgot, while we were in Hot Springs, we stopped by a mineral rock store that had a bunch of crystals. I really liked these, and I thought they would make for super cute stitch markers, and so that's the plan eventually. Trying to find the last thing I purchased. Oh, so first thing I purchased, and some of you are going to be like, why? We don't use those. I know. I bought a cable needle. I didn't have one, and I'd been using a straight needle, and it had been a nightmare, and I haven't yet learned how to comfortably knit without a cable needle when I'm doing cables. So for now, I'm using a cable needle, guys. Sorry. Other than that, I went for the tools. She had the carbons from Knitter's Pride, and at the time I was looking at starting on something that needed double pointed US ones, which I do a lot of socks and I enjoy these. So right now I have one set of US ones double pointed, but they're bamboo, and they're not terrible, but they're not my favorite. They're kind of bendy. So I saw these, I've seen these on Instagram, and I decided I want them. So I bought them. And then the other 2 things I bought are a set of, well, not a set, because they don't come as a set. They're individual. But they're both the 10-inch long. One of them is a US 3 9-inch circular needle, or 10-inch circular needle, and US 4 10-inch circular needle. These are new from the Mindful collection, and it says there's a gift inside, which I think means that there's a stitch marker. I haven't used them yet, but I have a feeling that these are going to get good use as I get to the sleeve of my cafe sweater. And that is it for acquisitions. A lot of new yarn, have to figure out what to do with it. So that takes us then into Instagram inspo. So I need to move a couple things around so I can actually see the picture of the things I'm talking about, which is something I learned last time, because most of my Instagram viewing is done on my phone, but I use that to record. So definitely have to have it so that I can see what I'm doing. So saved. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. So the first one I have on here, and I just want to preface this by saying, like, I thought that I had my style leaning one way, but after these three I picked, I realized I like drama in my clothes. Not like, you know, wear and tear drama or you got a stain on it, but I like statement pieces. Now, does my wardrobe have a lot of those right now? No, but that's why I get to make the things to put in there to make that happen. So the very first one is the George's sweater. This pattern is not released yet, but it's by, I hope I'm saying this right, Colibri by Johanna? Don't know, but super pretty, super deep plunging like back with a big old bow. I definitely will have to probably make some adjustments to it because I don't think that I personally would feel comfortable wearing that without a bra or having it be so open in the back, but it is stunning, and I love that bow. I don't know what it is about it, but I like the cut, I like the lines, and maybe wearing something under it so that I could wear a bra might ruin the silhouette a little bit, but I don't think so. I think that having a nice sweater with that big statement bow in the back is just, it's going to be so nice. So that's one that I'm looking at, probably not anytime soon, but something that definitely made me excited for new knits. The next one I'm looking at is actually called, it's the Mona sweater by Irene Lynn Knit. I think it's a little bit of a, oh my god, I hate to say this, but it's a little bit of an older pattern in that I think it came out on the 15th of September. The way that things move right now on Instagram in the knitting world is insane. So I'm over here going, yeah, it's an old pattern. It's not an old pattern, it's pretty new. But this one came on my radar when I was looking for things to knit up with my new yarn, my new pink yarn, and I think this might be the one I go with. I have a couple others that are in the running, but I really liked this one because of the really poofy feminine sleeve. But I also felt like there was enough detail on the sleeve and the hemline to be interesting and not, you know, something to look forward to through all of the stocking knit to get there. I also really like the silhouette. It's a little bit different in that it's not form-fitting necessarily. You definitely have like a higher hem and then a falling away from the body. So that one is on my list, and I love all of the feminine detail to it and just how flowy and luxurious it looks. Now, whether or not I would get that with my yarn, I don't entirely know, because I don't think that they used superwash merino. I think they used cashmere. So it might be, the structure might be a little bit different, but we'll see if I choose to go with that one. The very last thing, not the very last thing, the very last one on my Instagram inspo is similar, but kind of a takeoff away from the other two, in that it's not necessarily very feminine, but it is the White Sheep sweater by Rook Official. Anyway, I apologize for slaughtering all of the names, but it's really interesting. It's really, I think it's done in a chunky wool, which I don't have any on hand, so it'll be a while before I ever get to it, if I do. But I really, really like, again, it's the sleeves. It's the sleeves and the body. Because of where the hem, because of where they change it, it sits a little bit differently than you might expect on the body. And it just architecturally is really interesting because of how they've done the ribbing and where they've started it. It looks like it's a raglan, so that would probably be pretty easy. It just is a lot of ribbing. And then, I don't know, there's something about the poofy sleeves that just, it's calling to me. I feel like Anne of Green Gables. I need the puffed sleeves. I need the poofy sleeves. So that is that for all of it. yeah, that brings us to the end of our episode today. So, I'm trying to think of how I want to wrap this up. You know, the ending always seems to be really hard for me. Don't know why. Takes me forever to warm up, and then I can't stop talking when I get to the end. So, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for going with me on this knitting adventure today, as we've talked about all of the things going wrong with all of my knitting. We'll get there eventually. When it's done, we will all be able to celebrate the fact that that Tanis shawl is done. But it's been good. So I appreciate you hanging out with me today. I appreciate the views. I just thank you for watching. I'm going to say the annoying YouTuber thing right now and say if you feel like it, please like, comment, subscribe. In the comments, if you'd like to let me know which segment of this you liked best, definitely comment on the Enola Holmes yarns. Get in touch with Astasia. Let her know which ones you'd like to see more of. If you have an idea for a pattern for this thing. Now, remember, I am plus size, so we got to bear that in mind. Fingering weight yarn, if you have a pattern that you think this would be stellar in and really let the yarn shine, tell me about it. I want to know. So yeah, comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. In the meantime, I hope you're having a really good day. I hope you continue to have a good day. And yeah, I will catch you next time. I guess that's it. Bye.